Greg doesn't like our
This is that one on
certificate.
Ruby Point.
And we might give up the
The one you
certificate. Hey, now, are you gonna broadcast this pre-meeting or not?
I am.
You are? Okay. That's fine. Before you start, Lee, I wanna talk about a couple of things. Number one is this, script that I read. When there's nobody here that needs to hear this, do y'all think I need to read it?
No.
Okay, I don't either. So, does anybody, where I introduce us all and, the part that we added in to sort of try to keep from having problems when we have people from the public. And I think it's great that we do that, but like right now, there's nobody here from the public. And if it stays this way, we're just reading it to ourselves. So I would like to just skip that part if we're in, if everybody's okay with that.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. Then Myrna just brought up another thing about in the pre-meeting, reading all the conditions on everything. We all got our packet, we all read it. And we go through it in the pre-meeting, then we turn, of course, we've got to do it in the public meeting because that's the reason for it. But, and first I'm gonna ask Herman, do we have to read all these conditions in this pre-meeting?
Unless somebody has a question about it.
Okay. So I'm gonna throw it out. How does everybody feel about it? Do you feel like we need to read through all these, or has everybody read them? And let's just go to, let Lee, if anybody has a question, he'll just say this is the case and what it is, and if you've got a question, ask it, and if we don't, we'll move on.
I would think only the unique ones at the very most.
Okay.
The ones that are any relocation of utilities will be at the owner's expense. I think we know that.
I have that memorized.
Yeah.
No, sir.
Yeah, the conditions are the most important thing in it, to me.
Yeah, right.
I mean, we know where the address is and how many acres, we can read that, just, the conditions are the specific.
Well, and that is a point, everybody knows that the conditions come from the planning department and from the TRC, from utilities, and everybody puts conditions. So that was my original question, do we read the conditions? And maybe we do read those because those are what we're essentially imposing. And maybe we leave off the address and all that stuff. We can see that we got the paper in front of us.
Yeah.
My comment was on this meeting, not your name.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, this meeting, this pre-meeting only. But now, my thing on the script is for the hearing meeting, that I'm not gonna read that unless there's people here that are from the public, where I introduce us all and say how we function. Y'all have been through this many times, you know how we function. Okay, then let's just try it on the first couple of cases and see, how it works. So, I guess just read off the case number, then the conditions, and see if any of us have any questions.
Maybe the case number and what the request is?
Yes.
And the conditions,
Yes.
would that be sufficient?
Yeah,
Okay.
whatever, you throw your input in on this as well.
The first item is the one that was tabled from last month, the extraterritorial certificate 354121. The applicant has requested we table this one again until next month. They're waiting on something from the county to be cleared up before we
Okay.
address this one.
So there's no use even reading conditions on that one. Everybody good with that? Okay.
All right, and then next one, let's see. Deer Road Subdivision Minor Plat revised. This, minor plat approval with change from 40-foot, 30-foot right-of-way along Deer Road. The only condition being recording fees. This is the one that was presented last month and adopted, and they have come back with a change where they were initially showing 40 feet of right-of-way dedication along Deer Road. Now that's being taken back to 30 feet of right-of-way from the center line. And this was approved by the engineering department as well.
All right.
Holland Meadows Subdivision Preliminary Plat. The request is preliminary plat approval. The conditions on this one: fee for adjacent property owners, certified letters, complete public improvements or post bond letter of credit prior to final plat approval, and engineering department approval. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question on that, first condition.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that new, or have we always done that? Are we saying to charge the applicant for the certified letters that were sent out to the
Yes, ma'am.
adjacent property owners?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that, have we always done that?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am, we do,
It's
yes.
just stated differently. It
it's-
kind of reads different.
Oh, okay, I was wondering if this was new, okay.
And it's not always a condition either, so if we've received it already, we don't place it as a condition. But in this one, we haven't received that payment yet, and so it's listed as a condition.
We actually just did.
And we have since, so it's still gonna be listed as a condition, but that condition will just have been met
So are the letters
So, yeah, that's
sent out?
prior to the meeting.
Receiving the payment from the applicant?
We try not to,
You want me to-
Michelle can speak to that more than I can.
We try to bill before, this is right back when, so on this particular one, it was kind of parallel. I was getting them ready, I reached out via email because I figured out how many letters were actually sending out. They send me a list, but a lot of times it is duplicated, some of them are, the addresses. So once I get a figure, I'll let them know and then they send a check right over. So that's how that works.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
basically, they don't really know in the beginning how much that is until they do some work. So that's what you're saying, that's why we may send them out before they pay it. Right.
Depending on the.
Okay.
Any other questions on that one?
I just want to bring it right here, everybody understands this, that we require a bond. You know, when somebody's going to put in streets, curbs, and gutters, we don't approve those lots to sell until they put those streets, curbs, and gutters in, or bond that they're going to put them in. And that's sort of what this is talking about, but so that everybody understands that they're not an official lot that can be sold until one of those two things are done. All right.
All right, the next item is certificate 354621. It's to consolidate 3 lots of approximately .256 acres each into 1 lot of approximately .77 acres. The conditions on this one: recording fees, signed owner letter, signed sealed survey. With this one, if vacation 53421, which will come up later in the agenda, is not approved, or if it is modified, we will need an updated legal description and plat, and then we need all the right-of-way shown for all the roads.
All right, no questions?
All right, extraterritorial certificate 354721. The request is to move lot lines between 2 parcels of 4.95 and 4.94 acres, creating 2 lots of 2.49 and 7.40 acres. The conditions on this one: recording fee, signed owner request letter. The numbers for the acreage need to match from the certificate to the boundary survey. Show right-of-way for all roads. And then on this one, we will also need a letter from the owner of Unit 1 stating that the septic system is completely contained within their new parcel boundary. Which on that one, that's why if you look at the map, it has the weird kind of triangle shape on the back of it. That's why it's drawn that way, is to contain that septic system on their property, but we need a letter on file stating that fact.
I guess one thing I bring up there is that we used to require something from the health department, and now the health department doesn't do that anymore, right? So,
That's correct. So,
you know, we still gotta make sure that the lots can have a septic system that septic system stays with the building that's there. So instead of requiring them to get that from the health department, we're just requiring that they show it on the survey now, right?
Well, requiring just a letter for us to have on
Okay.
file from the owner of that property.
Yeah, stating that it is there. You know, we're not really verifying it, but we're making them tell us that if later there's a problem, we can go back to that.
Certificate 354821, the request is to consolidate 2 parcels with a portion of a 3rd parcel from Block 4 of Edgewood Subdivision into 1 parcel of 1.01 acres. Conditions on this one: recording fees, signed owner request letter, correct legal description on that, the acreage is incorrect. Signed sealed survey with 3 state plane coordinates, and show right of way for all roads. The next one is certificate 354921. The request is to change the lot lines between 3 parcels, creating 2 tracts of 3.30 and 1.33 acres. Conditions on this one: recording fee, signed owner request letter, signed sealed survey with 3 state plane coordinates, and show right of way for all roads. All right, the next one, Princeton Place Phases 3 and 4. This is a layout plat approval. And the only condition on this one is a note needs to be added to the plat stating that the north-south road will connect to Deerfoot Way. And on this one, there are a couple of points of information to look at. One of them being that it is recommended by the planning department that all areas that are to be platted as larger than 1 acre lots should be rezoned to R1E. And then DU needed a point of information stating that lots 1, 11, 12, and 14 must have a 20-foot sanitary sewer easement.
Okay, on this one, if everybody will notice that, the part that he's, that are gonna be more than 1 acre, most of it's in a R5 zone and a lot of it's in a R3. I have talked to the owner about this, about us requiring that it's R1E. And he's fine with that, he understands, and he doesn't have a problem with doing that. And the reason I feel like we should require it, because if we leave it R5 and he sells a 3 acre tract, and then 5 years from now, the owner of that 3 acre tract wants to divide it into patio homes, it's R5, they can do that. So everybody else in the neighborhood thought they bought into an estate subdivision that's not true. So I would like to make it a requirement, not a point of information, a requirement that he rezones everything that's a tract larger than 1 acre to R1E. And like I said, I've already spoken with Mr. Hill, and he's fine with that. So I guess we would do that during the hearing part, that we just add that condition. Does anybody have any questions or feel differently about that?
So you're saying that anything with more than 1 acre, 5 acre plot subdivision?
Any of this subdivision that they're proposing that's more than 1 acre will have to be rezoned to R1E. R1E requires that a lot is a minimum of 1 acre.
So they would never be subdivided?
Well,
Again.
if they're 3 acres, they could subdivide them down to 1 acre.
1
That's the
acre,
most, that's the smallest they could do is a
Okay.
1 acre tract.
And R1E, yes.
And that's the
Okay.
That's the biggest lot that we require out of any of our residential zoning is a 1 acre tract. And like I said, Mr. Hill doesn't have a problem with that. He's fine with it as well.
And in the meeting, what the commission needs to do is they need to move that
Yeah,
up to being a condition instead of just a point of interest.
right.
Will some of it stay R5?
I don't think it will. Because all the R5 is the part that he's got the large estates in. I think some of the R5 and some of the R3 will all change to R1E. Now, the smaller lots will stay the R3.
There will be a portion that will remain R3, but the entirety of the R5 section and a large majority of the R3 will need to be rezoned to R1E. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question about that first condition, that road.
Yes, ma'am.
I can't tell where that is.
The north-south roadway?
The north-south road, and I was wondering, is that the only way in and out of
No,
that?
no. So you'll see here Princeton Loop and Hawthorne Drive connect out to the existing Princeton Place subdivision, the previous phases of Princeton Place. And so you've got connection through Hawthorne Drive and Queenston Loop here. And the north-south road that I'm referencing is this one here.
And so where
And
is
Deerfoot Road, Deerfoot Way runs along the property line there. And so while I'm sure the intention is to connect, we just need a note stating that that's the desire is for that road to connect to Deerfoot Way.
So they can, so everyone here can get out
Through Deerfoot Way
Deerfoot Way
or Hawthorne
or
Drive.
Hawthorne Drive.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
That's one, I'm thinking is it 60 lots in our rewrite? I can't remember if it's 60 or 80, there's a point where we require more than one entrance.
There's a formula in the new rewrite that, based on number of lots and a couple of other factors, will determine how many points of entry you need for your subdivision.
And this is not uncommon, you know, on River Road, they're two separate subdivisions, but they're joined by a road, so.
And
Both.
currently, what we have is you can't have a road longer than 750 feet or more than 30 units without having a secondary ingress egress.
There you go.
So that's kind of how it's being handled now.
And in the rewrite, like I said, we're going to more of a formula that has been developed that makes it a little easier for us to make sure there's enough entry and exit points for these subdivisions. All right, are there any other questions on that one? All right, if not, let's see, the next one is River Road Estates Phase 2. This is final plat approval. The conditions on this one, recording fees, engineering department approval, and establish a base flood elevation for the entire subdivision.
Now, do we not have the same situation here with the connecting road? I just now thought about that, yeah.
You do, but see, you can actually see they're showing their connections with
Okay, so
the-
since they show their connections, we don't have to.
They're
make-
clearly showing on this one, so it's not really an issue on this one to guarantee that,
Okay,
because it's being clearly shown that those roads are continuing.
okay,
That other one is just one that we need to get a note, and we need to
right.
be sure that that connection is gonna be made. And like I said, the intention, I'm sure from the developer, was for it to connect to Deerfoot Way. Like I said, we just wanted a little bit of assurance on that plat.
On that one, wasn't there some discrepancies in where that road was actually located based on our two plat?
The old plats, yes, there was a little slight discrepancy on where that road came in versus where it actually is. And so that's part of that note as well, as, as we go on. This is just a layout on that
Yeah.
previous one. So as we move to the next steps, that's to help us verify where that road is exactly, and that connection is gonna be made, and that it can be made, is the biggest thing.
And we don't need it here because it's shown on the
Because it's
survey.
shown clearly on the plat, yes.
Okay.
All right, the next one is site plan 61621. It's a commercial site plan approval for a fitness center. The conditions on this one, number one, extend the sidewalk across the southern entrance on Aldi Way and at a crosswalk. Number two, add buffer landscaping to the southern property line along Milligan Street as it is adjacent to a residential area. Number three, on the photometric plan, we need to show light levels at the property lines. Number four, a detention area in southwest corner of the lot should connect to an inlet on Milligan Street. Five, engineering department approval. Six, we need a 10-foot easement for the gas service line that is going onto the property. Seven, we need a tap off the main gas line. It cannot come off the existing line. 8, we need a 5-foot easement for the electric from Glen Street to the cabinet that's on the property. And then 9, we need to show the rear yard setback on the south end of the lot. It's currently being shown on the west property line.
Any questions?
All right, the next one is site plan 61721. The request is commercial site plan approval for a car wash. Conditions on this one, frontage landscaping will be required along 6th Avenue and Knight Street, as there are more than 15 parking spaces. Engineering department approval and also ALDOT approval on the drainage. All right, the next one is vacation 53421. It's to vacate 0.11 acres of right-of-way in front of 1801, 1805, and 1817 Tower Street. Conditions on this one, sign and complete a vacation package, and we will need a 10-foot easement for the light poles, 5 foot on either side. And this is the one that goes with the earlier certificate.
And this is also the one that we want to make sure that there is a minimum of 10 feet from the curb.
There were questions initially on how wide that right-of-way was out there. It was initially thought it was 80, but it's actually 100-foot right-of-way for Tower Street. And engineering department requested that at least 10 feet be reserved in the right-of-way from the back of curb to the property line.
That's just in case we need sidewalks or something.
So,
Not on top of there.
right, so that needs to be a condition then, right? Unless they can show us, are you wanting that to be a condition, or?
Well, I mean, if what they're wanting vacated at least is 10 feet.
Okay.
That's just a point of information for us.
So we just need to see, they need to show us that they have 10 feet in that right of way behind the curb on.
And if y'all would like to place that as a condition, we're fine to do that. The street, like I said, it's 100-foot right-of-way. The current street is 30 feet. And so that leaves you 35 feet on each side from back of curb roughly to the existing property line. So taking this 20 feet should leave more or less 15 feet between the property line and the back of curb currently, which should satisfy what engineering is looking for on it. But we can place that condition if.
Yeah, it's up to y'all.
Well, that's what I'm asking. I mean, to me, it appears that it's there, but, you know, to verify and to make it their responsibility, we'd have to place a condition for that. Fine with us just,
I'm fine either way.
okay.
Because me and Carl looked at it earlier.
And y'all feel like it's there too, right? Okay. So So we can just ask that question, and if they tell us it is, and you're okay if we go forward with that, okay?
Hey, how did you come up with 20 from 50?
So 100-foot right-of-way, 30-foot road section, so that's 15 foot on each side of the center line.
Oh, you're gonna have 50 feet on the other side. You're
Because
gonna
we're-
have 50,
Yes, on each side, you should have 50 feet from the center line.
right?
And
You
so,
take 20 off of that, that leaves you 30 on one side and 50 on the other.
That's right, which gives you, and there's 15 feet of road, so that gives you 15 feet of right of way. And that's,
so yes, so that should leave you the 15 feet between the back of curb and the new property
You're talking
line.
about the curve, okay?
Yeah, yeah.
I lost that one. Thank you.
Yeah, so the new property line will be moving out 20 feet with this vacation, and then that would leave 15 feet to the curb from that new property line.
where he's coming from, and I got confused on this too, because it's 100 feet right of way, and you think if you take off 20, that you reduced it to 80 and you got 40 on each side, but we're taking 20 off of one side. So I left 50 and 30 is really what it is. But it's still plenty of right of way where this is. And the reason they're requesting this is because they want to put a sign out there, and they can't do it now because it's all right of way.
And their current, this is a multifamily units, and their current parking area goes right up to the existing property line. And so they can't place a sign currently without losing a parking space, which they can't afford on this property, which is where the vacation request comes in, so that they can put a sign. This is vacation 534.
Page 49.
So, yeah.
I
This,
like the page numbers, thank you.
and this is, this guy bought these, a couple of years ago and remodeled them all, and, they're nice, and he's wanting to consolidate it to one piece of property and then put a sign out there, so.
Well, something else to think about is, even though the right of way now is 15 feet from the curb, that doesn't mean you can't have an easement past that point.
And on this, there's going to be an easement along with it, because there are some power poles that are gonna be close to that line. So an easement will be reserved in this, 5 feet on each side of those existing poles already.
That's gonna be part of the vacation. It's gonna say we reserve,
Yes, the easement will be a part of this, yes.
be reserved. Okay.
It'll be reserved, yes. So vacating this portion of the right-of-way, but a certain amount of easement will still be retained on this for where those light poles are.
But it gives him a piece of property where he can put his sign, is what it all boils down to, without putting it in his parking lot.
So the fact that he is, dividing it into 3 separate parcels means he can put 3 separate signs?
No, he's combining it
He's
from
com-
three.
yes.
Right,
it's-
combining it.
It's
Right.
currently 3 parcels, he's combining into one,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
Okay,
All right, and then the final item, vacation 53521, vacate 0.02 acres of an alley southeast of 13 Vine Street Northwest. And the only condition on this is a signed and completed vacation package.
And we talk about that would be retained as an easement,
It is being retained as an easement, yes.
so do we need to note that on here?
If it's currently a point of information that it will be retained as an easement, but again,
Okay.
this is one that if you would
I'd
like
rather
it,
move it up to a condition.
if you would like to move it up to a condition, the
Yeah,
commission
no
can do that.
questions about it.
so you'll just make that motion,
I'll do it.
okay? Any other comments, questions on anything? Okay. So what y'all think about doing it that way?
I like it.
Okay. Place for the regular scheduled meeting of the City of Decatur Planning Commission. I'd like to call us to order. Please call the roll.
Lawrence.
Here.
Borden.
Here.
Tate. Pepper. Wynn.
Here.
Temple.
Here.
Burris. Culpepper.
Here.
Pike.
Here.
Okay, we do have a quorum. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes of last month's meeting? If not, do I have a motion to accept these minutes?
Motion to approve.
A
Second.
Motion by Mr. Temple, second by Mr. Borden. All in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, those minutes are accepted and approved. Okay, I'd like to take a moment to introduce the Planning Commission members and give a brief description of what we do and how this meeting is conducted. The commission has 9 members. 8 of us are volunteers appointed by the mayor for a 6-year term. We also have 1 member from the city council. My name is Kent Lawrence. Gary Borden is our vice chairman. Dan Culpepper is the secretary. Other members are Francis Tate, Myrna Burris, Joseph Wynn, Eddie Pike, Forrest Temple. And our council member is Hunter Pepper. Members of the public seeking to get an item considered by the Planning Commission must send an application to the Planning Department not less than 21 days prior to this meeting. Unless otherwise specified, all applications for development approvals are the result of a submittal by private citizens seeking some change to their own property. In making our decisions, a primary tool used by the Planning Commission is the One Decatur Comprehensive Plan. This is the general community plan for the city of Decatur and was adopted through a public process to formalize a vision for the future of our community that represents the interests and will of all the Decatur residents. In many of these cases, the Planning Commission does not have final say. Zonings, annexations, vacations, sidewalk cafe license, and resolutions all require additional approval by the city council before they become official. In these cases, the role of the Planning Commission is to advise the city council. Okay, the first part of today's meeting is a public hearing for Each item will be read separately and voted on after comments and discussion. If you wish to comment on an item, we ask that you come forward to the microphone, state your name and address, and make your comments. We ask that you keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. In today's public hearing, we have these types of requests. Preliminary plats. This is the second step of the subdivision process and will have construction plans included. Minor plats, or plats that have no more than 3 lots, direct access to public service, and a topo provided for review. Okay, please read the first case.
The first item.
Okay, I'm sorry, we're gonna start with some old business.
Old business, yes. And it's extraterritorial certificate 3541-21, and the recipient the applicant has asked that we table this until next month.
Okay, do I have a motion to table this, request?
So moved.
Okay, a motion?
Second.
Okay, motion by Mr. Culpepper, second by Mr. Borden. All in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we have tabled that request. Now we will move into the public hearing portion of the meeting. You'll go ahead and read the first case.
Deer Road Subdivision Minor Plat Revised. It is 31.33 acres. The current zone is Ag 1 and R6. The applicant is Vice Engineering and Surveying for Dry Creek Capital Investments LLC. The location is 3105 Upper River Road Southeast. The request is a minor plat approval with a change from 40 foot to 30 foot of right-of-way along Deer Road. The proposed land use to single-family residential. The One Decatur future land use is mixed neighborhood. The One Decatur street typology, Upper River Road, is a minor arterial. Conditions to be met: recording fees, And a point of information, any relocation of utilities will be at the owner's expense.
Okay, is there anyone from the public that would wish to speak to this request? If not, do we have a motion to recommend this to the council?
So,
Second.
A motion by Mr. Culpepper, second by Mr. Wynn?
Temple.
Mr. Temple, sorry. Any questions or comments from anyone on the commission? Okay, please call the roll.
Lawrence.
Yes.
Borden.
Yes.
Tate.
Yes.
Pepper. Wynn.
Yes.
Temple.
Yes.
Burris.
Yes.
Culpepper.
Yes.
Pike.
Yes.
Okay. Questions?
Next item, Holland Meadows Subdivision Preliminary Plat is 27.54 acres. The current zone is R6. The applicant is Pewright McAnally for Evergreen Living. The location is 3411 Deer Road Southeast. The request is preliminary plat approval. The proposed land use is single-family, semi-attached residential. The one Decatur future land use is mixed neighborhood. The one Decatur street typology, Deer Road is southeast, is a local street. Conditions to be met: fee for adjacent property owner certified letters, complete public improvements or post bond letter of credit prior to final plat approval, and engineering department approval. Point of information, any relocation of utilities will be at the owner's expense, and the side yard setbacks are set up for single story.
Is there anyone that would wish to speak to this request? If not, do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay. Motion by Mr. Borden, second by Mr. Pike. Please call the roll.
Lawrence.
Yes.
Borden.
Yes.
Tate.
Yes.
Wynn.
Yes.
Temple.
Yes.
Burris.
Yes.
Culpepper.
Yes.
Pike.
Yes.
Okay, that is approved. Now we move to the consent agenda part of the meeting. The Planning Commission has the final decision and does not require a public hearing. These items are read together and voted on as a group. Today we have these types of requests. Layout plats gives a general idea of the lot layout for a subdivision. Final plats come after the preliminary stage where construction details are worked out and a public hearing has been held. This is where we get approval to bond the improvements. Certificates to subdivide. This is a one-step process to subdivide no more than 3 lots or to consolidate lots. A survey is required. Site plan, proposed developments on a collector street or above. Plans show building placement, parking, circulation, landscaping, and et cetera. If you wish to comment on any of these cases, you will be given an opportunity after they've all been read. And the same thing, come forward and state your name and make your comments. You read the first case, please.
All right. Certificate 354621 is 0.77 acres. Current zone is R4. Applicant is Pewright McAnally for Hans Thoreau. The location is 1801, 1805, and 1817 Tower Street Southeast. The request is to consolidate 3 lots of approximately 0.256 acres each into 1 lot of approximately 0.77 acres. Proposed land use is multifamily residential. The one Decatur future land use is core neighborhood. The one Decatur street typology, Tower Street Southeast, is a local street. Conditions to be met: 1, recording fees; 2, signed owner letter; 3, signed sealed survey; 4, if vacation 53421 is not approved, or if it is modified, we will need an updated legal description and plat. And 5, show right-of-way for all roads. Point of information, any relocation of utilities will be at the owner's expense, and vacation 53421 will need to be recorded prior to this certificate. Extraterritorial certificate 354721 is 9.89 acres. The current zone is none. The applicant is Purite McAnally for Unity Baptist Church. The location is 3506 Norris Mill Road. The request is to move lot lines between two parcels of 4.95 and 4.94 acres, creating two lots of 2.49 and 7.40 acres. The proposed land use is institutional or civic. The one Decatur future land use, residential low density, and the one Decatur street typology, Norris Mill Road, is a minor arterial. Conditions to be met: 1, recording fees; 2, signed owner request letter; 3, numbers for acreage need to match from certificate to boundary survey; 4, show right-of-way for all roads; and 5, we will need a letter from the owner of Unit 1 stating that the septic system is completely contained within their parcel. And a point of information, any relocation of utilities will be at the owner's expense.
Could you hold up just a second? Could I get somebody to close that door, please? Okay, thank you.
Certificate 354821 is 1.01 acres. The current zone is R2. The applicant is Purite McAnally for Darrell and Edith McMillan. The location is approximately 941 Lamar Street Southwest. The request is to consolidate two parcels with a portion of a third parcel from Block 4 of Edgewood Subdivision into one parcel of 1.01 acres. Proposed land use is residential. The one Decatur future land use is core neighborhood. The one Decatur street typology, Lamar Street Southwest, is a local street. Conditions to be met: 1, recording fees; 2, signed owner request letter; 3, correct legal description, acreage is incorrect; and 4, signed sealed survey with 3 state plan coordinates; and 5, show right-of-way for all roads. And a point of information, any relocation of utilities will be at the owner's expense. Certificate 354921 is 4.63 acres. Current zone is Ag 1. The applicant is Purite McAnally for McDaniel Rollins. The location is 1735 Chestnut Mountain Road Southwest. The request is to change the lot lines between 3 parcels, creating 2 tracts of 3.30 and 1.33 acres. Proposed land use is residential. The one Decatur future land use, residential low density. The one Decatur street typology, Chestnut Street Southwest, is a local street. Conditions to be met: 1, recording fees; 2, signed owner request letter; 3, signed sealed survey with 3 state plan coordinates; 4, show right-of-way for all roads. And a point of information, any relocation of utilities will be at the owner's expense. Princeton Place, phases 3 and 4, is approximately 52.6 acres. The current zone is R3 and R5. The applicant is Purite McAnally for Hill Development Company, LLC. The location is east of Hawthorne Drive Southwest. The request is layout plat approval. The proposed land use, single-family residential. The one Decatur future land use, residential low density. And the one Decatur street typology, Hawthorne Drive Southwest, is a local street. Conditions to be met: a note needs to be added to the plat stating that the north-south road will connect to Deerfoot Way. Point of information, any relocation of utilities will be at the owner's expense. It is recommended by the planning department that all areas platted that are larger than 1 acre should be rezoned to R1E. And lots 1, 11, 12, and 14 must have a 20-foot sanitary sewer easement.
Chairman Lawrence, I'd like to propose that we change the point of information on the R1E to a number 2 condition.
Okay, we have a motion to make the point of information a condition. Have a second?
Second.
Okay, motion by Mr. Pike, second by Mr. Borden. So, we will require that, any of the lots that are platted 1 acre or larger will be rezoned to R1E. Any questions or comments from any other commissioners? Okay, all in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so that is now a condition.
River Road Estates Phase 2 is 15.37 acres. The current zone is R3. The applicant is Purite McAnally for Old House LLC. The location is approximately 3200 Old River Road Southeast. The request is final plat approval. The proposed land use is single-family residential. The 1 Decatur future land use is mixed neighborhood. And the 1 Decatur street typology, Old River Road Southeast, is an urban collector. Conditions to be met: 1, recording fees; 2, engineering department approval; and 3, established base flood elevation for the subdivision. Point of information: any relocation of utilities will be at the owner's expense. Site plan 61621 is 5.8 acres. Current zone is M1A. The applicant is Shoal Engineering for Crunch Fitness. The location is 1419 Glen Street Southwest. The request is commercial site plan approval for a fitness center. The proposed land use, commercial. The 1 Decatur future land use, community commercial. And the 1 Decatur street typology, Glen Street Southwest, is an urban collector. Conditions to be met: 1, extend the sidewalk across the southern entrance on Aldi Way to add crosswalk. 2, add buffer landscaping to the southern property line along Milligan Street as it is adjacent to a residential area. 3, on photometric plan, show light level at property lines. 4, detention area in southwest corner of the lot should connect to inlet on Milligan Street. 5, engineering department approval. 6, we will need a 10-foot easement for the gas service that is going on to the property. 7, we will need a tap off the main gas line, can't come off the existing line. 8, we will need a 5-foot easement for the electric from Glen Street to the cabinet on the property. And 9, show rear yard setback on the south end of the lot. And a point of information: any relocation of utilities will be at the owner's expense. Site plan 61721 is 1.7 acres. Current zone is M1. The applicant is Purite McAnally for Tom Bender. The location is 6th Avenue Southeast, south of Knight Street. The request is commercial site plan approval for a car wash. The proposed land use is commercial. The 1 Decatur future land use is regional mixed use. The 1 Decatur street typology, 6th Avenue Southeast, is a principal arterial. Conditions to be met: frontage landscaping will be required along 6th Avenue and Knight Street as there are more than 15 parking spaces. Number 2, engineering department approval, and 3, ALDOT approval on drainage. And a point of information: any relocation of utilities will be at the owner's expense.
Is there anyone from the public that would wish to speak to any of these requests? Not, do we have a motion to approve all items requested?
Motion for approval. Second.
A motion by Mr. Pike, second by Mr. Temple. Any questions or comments from anyone on the commission? Okay, please call the roll.
Lawrence.
Yes.
Borden.
Yes.
Tate.
Yes.
Wynn.
Yes.
Temple.
Yes.
Burris.
Yes.
Culpepper.
Yes.
Pike.
Yes.
Okay, now we move into other business. These are items that do go on to the city council for final approval, but do not require a public hearing, and what we have today are vacation requests. This is vacating public right-of-way or easements. If you'd read the first one, please.
Vacation 53421 is 0.11 acres. Current zone is R4. The applicant is Pewright McAnally for Hans Thoreau. The location is 1801 Tower Street Southeast. The request is to vacate 0.11 acres of right-of-way in front of 1801, 1805, and 1817 Tower Street Southeast. Proposed land use is multifamily residential. The one Decatur future land use is core neighborhood. And the one Decatur street typology, Tower Street Southeast, is a local street. Conditions to be met: 1, signed and completed vacation package. 2, we will need a 10-foot easement for the light poles, 5 foot on either side. And a point of information, any relocation of utilities will be at the owner's expense.
Okay, is there anyone who would wish to speak to this request? Now, we do have a question, I guess, for you, Richard. Will this still leave at least 10 feet, correct, behind the curb?
10 feet is
10 feet is what engineering wants us to make sure that it's at least 10 feet.
Yes, Richard Humphrey, Pewright McAnally. It will. I did go back and look at that, and Tower Street currently has a 100-foot wide right-of-way, which is double what the city's typical is for a residential street. Typically, it would be 50 feet. The Tower Street is roughly in the middle of that 100 feet. So what we're asking for is to vacate 20. So if you're looking at the road from center line to current right-of-way, there's 50 feet. We would be vacating 20. That'll leave 30 feet from the middle of the road to the new right-of-way, which gives us over 15, as close to 18 feet from the new right-of-way to the back of curb. So it is more than the typical 10 feet that we would see.
Okay, great. All right. Do we have a motion to recommend this to the city council?
Motion to approve.
Second, okay. Motion by Mr. Borden, second by Mr. Temple. Any questions or comments from anyone on the commission? Please call the roll.
Lawrence.
Yes.
Borden.
Yes.
Tate.
Yes.
Wynn.
Yes.
Temple.
Yes.
Burris.
Yes.
Culpepper.
Yes.
Pike.
Yes.
Okay.
Vacation 53521 is 0.02 acres. Current zone is M1. The applicant is Pewright McAnally for Lee Edwards. The location is 13 Vine Street Northwest. The request is to vacate 0.02 acres of alley southeast of 13 Vine Street Northwest. Proposed land use commercial, one Decatur future land use, urban core downtown, one Decatur street typology, Vine Street Northwest is an urban collector. Conditions to be met: signed and completed vacation package. And point of information, any relocation of utilities will be at the owner's expense, and the area will be retained as an easement.
Anyone from the public wish to speak to this request? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to request that second point of information, the area to be retained as an easement, be placed under a condition to be met.
Okay. So we have a motion to make the second point of information a condition. We have a second.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Borden, second by Mr. Pike. All in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. So now do we have a motion to recommend this approval to the council?
Motion to approve. Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Temple, second by Mr. Pike. Any questions or comments from anyone on the commission? Please call the roll.
Lawrence.
Yes.
Gordon.
Yes.
Tate.
Yes.
Wynn.
Yes.
Temple.
Yes.
Burrows.
Yes.
Culpepper.
Yes.
Pike.
Yes.
Okay. Well, we have no other business, so we are adjourned.